Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 280 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. I am so excited for you guys to be joining us this morning. If you guys saw us 2 days ago, you saw that we were kind of kicking off early our VEDS Action Month series, and I am excited today to welcome Katie Wright. She is the director of the VEDS Movement. Hello, Katie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on the On Air Advocate and be joining everybody today. So thank you so much.
Yes, I am so happy that you guys have kind of joined up with us for this Action Month so we can spread the awareness about this rare disease. So before we get going and kind of dive into everything, Katie, I would love for you to tell us about a little bit about your background, yourself, how you got involved with the VEDS movement.
Yeah, I would love to tell you that. So I was diagnosed with VEDS in 2017 after kind of a long, drawn out process where I was dealing with what I didn't know was a dissected artery. So once I got diagnosed in 2017 and I got my dissected artery diagnosed, I was really fired up to raise awareness for VEDS. And that's really how I started to get involved about a little over 4 years ago. I started a podcast and a YouTube channel, and I got involved with something called the VEDS Collaborative, where I was working with researchers and other community members and advocacy groups. And then in 2019, I met the Marfan Foundation, and they were really excited to start advocating more for VEDS, and they wanted to get something going for VEDS. So in the very end of September, actually, like this is our 2-year anniversary today of starting the VEDS movement. I joined the Marfan Foundation to start a division dedicated to vascular Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome, and we called it the VEDS movement, and here we are today.
Yes, and I just saw that on social media this morning where it said like today is the VEDS birthday bash, and I love that. And so with this month and this being the 2-year celebration, do you guys do like what kind of a birthday bash do you do? About
Yeah,
this.
this
Am I invited?
Yes, of course. So you can find all the information on our website at thevedsmovement.org. But this is our second annual birthday bash. It's really celebrating both the community and how bright our future is, and 2 years now of the VEDS movement. So the official birthday bash is next week on October 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and there's going to be a video and special guests and a silent auction. So definitely check out thevedsmovement.org for more information about that.
Oh my gosh, that sounds wonderful. So I know I jumped into that because I was so excited when I saw that and you said about the birthday bash. I wanted to know more of that. But in kind of backing up, in case someone did not catch us talking about VEDS on Wednesday when we kind of kicked off this series early, can you give the audience just a little bit of background about what VEDS is? Because we use VEDS a lot, but that's, you know what I'm saying, just the shortened version, a really long term, and just a little bit more of that definition and why this is so important, because obviously this does fall under rare disease, you know, that rare disease category. So can you kind of share with us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So VEDS stands for Vascular Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. It's a type of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, of which there are 14 types now, that causes kind of like weak or faulty collagen in the body, collagen 3. And that is really, it results in things like artery dissections and ruptures, aortic dissections and ruptures, and organ perforations like the bowels, lung collapse. Like there's a lot of life-threatening emergencies that come along with having VEDS. And it affects about 1 in 50,000 people. About half of people don't have anybody else in their family with it. They're the first ones, which is called a de novo mutation. So it is genetic, but it can affect people who don't have any history in their family as well.
Okay. And do we find this more prevalent in teens, young children, or adults? Is there any kind of median age that a lot of times people find out about this?
That's a tricky question. So it's something that you're born with if you have it. But I mean, some people like me don't get diagnosed until I was diagnosed at 28. and some people get diagnosed earlier. I think that the awareness is growing for this, and so anecdotally, like I am meeting more people who are getting diagnosed early or just getting diagnosed at all, and that is a really big improvement. I think that there is kind of a lot of times there's this kind of diagnostic odyssey of trying to get an answer for weird things that you experience.
And I know, when I was talking to Josephine on Wednesday, she had kind of said that if you are in this space and you think it may be a condition that you might be suffering from, that definitely the VEDS movement can kind of help in bridging that, connecting you with other possible doctors that are more familiar with it. Can
Mhm.
you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we have an institutional directory on our website of doctors who we know are caring for patients with VEDS and have indicated that they're comfortable doing that. And that includes like major centers that are comfortable and knowledgeable in this condition and in diagnosing it, which is really important to see a doctor familiar with it.
Yeah.
We also have a help and resource center staffed by a registered nurse, and she is wonderful. Her name is Jan, and she knows all the docs, and she really like helps people get connected or at least get a list of resources and starting points when they reach out to her. So we have we have a
Okay.
few things. We also have I do want to mention we do have a support group for people who think that they have VEDS or a related condition like Loeys-Dietz or Marfan syndrome. That
Mhm.
time where you first suspect that you have one of these conditions, and then you're trying to get like somebody to listen to you, or you're trying to get a geneticist, or you're trying to find those answers. Sometimes that can be a drawn out process, and I
Right.
and many, many times it's a very, very stressful process. So we do also have a virtual support group for people who are going through that.
Okay. And I know we didn't chat about this beforehand, so let me know if you're comfortable with it. But can you tell us a little bit about your VEDS journey for
Oh
yourself?
yeah, sure. So my vets journey was a little complicated. Like I said, I had actually seen a geneticist in 2014 who told me I didn't meet any criteria for any form of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, especially not VEDS. No genetic test was necessary, and I completely forgot about that. And so in 2016, I had this like on sudden onset, very severe neck pain, and had kind of no answer for that. You know, my PCP thought I pulled a muscle. I ended up in the ER at some point, and they said, "Ah, it's probably you pulled muscle. Go home and take some Motrin." And this had like it turned into this pattern where I was in a very severe amount of pain for a good deal of time, and then it would get better and then happen again. And
Okay.
that happened over the course of a year. So in 2017, I was in a pain management clinic, and I was supposed to see a vascular surgeon to rule out, to get a scan and make sure I didn't have a pinched artery in here in my brachial plexus, which
Okay.
is called thoracic outlet syndrome. And my brother made a joke that they wouldn't have to do a scan because they could see all the veins in my body anyway. And that's something that was present my whole life. I have very visible veins over my body. I do have a lot of features of vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Not everybody has featured outward signs, but I do. And I sat down that night and thought, somebody missed something. And I had completely forgotten about that geneticist visit, the Ehlers-Danlos, and I kind of sat down and went through my medical history and ended up on the NIH's website looking at myself on the page about VEDS and realizing this is what was missed, that I had this genetic condition. And it was a process to get diagnosed. But that was a really, I mean, that's really what got me fired up to advocate for other people. So when I finally got that genetic confirmation in 2017, it was just this fire that I had,
Yes.
you know, that I really wanted to advocate. And 3 months later, I got the confirmation that I had a dissection in my left internal carotid artery, which kind of, for me, it's up near like my eardrum or behind my eye area. And
Mhm.
it has turned into a nice little pseudo aneurysm, which happens when the dissections occur sometimes. And here I am, stable today, and just happy to be advocating for other people, making sure. I just thought when it happened to me, I just, you know, I didn't want anybody else to go through this. Like that was the fire. I didn't want anybody else to go through what I went through. I felt that at 28 years old, I should have had a diagnosis, especially with a lifelong, like outward appearance. And I was constantly in the doctor when I was a kid. Like it was just always something going on. but I also really didn't want other people to go through it alone. So that ultimately started my advocacy journey
Wow.
and
Well,
let
they picked the
yeah.
right person to be the director of the movement.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
Most most definitely. And would you say now that you have the diagnosis and I mean obviously you're creating all of these supportive tools, right? Not only for you but for others that you have such a better handle on this condition for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about knowing what you have
Mhm.
and being able to advocate for yourself with that knowledge, especially in an emergency situation. And the emergency room awareness is something that we're still working on to try to improve because there are a lot of people that go to the emergency rooms and they have their diagnosis and they know what it means, but they still don't get taken care of properly in the emergency rooms or in the emergency setting because that awareness is kind of lacking. It's still growing among the medical community. So that's something we're really passionate about. But knowing that diagnosis, being able to, get a doctor who is knowledgeable about it, even if you only see them once and they're, in another state, but now they're on your team, like they can help advocate for you in an emergency. There are so many things that you can do when you know that you have VEDS. And I think that's a really empowering thing. It's kind of it's hard knowledge to have about yourself. It really is because, we don't have a proven treatment yet. And it's a hard knowledge to have that you're prone to these events and these very scary,
Right.
scary things. But it's also good knowledge to have. So
Right. Most definitely. And in talking to Josephine on Wednesday, it seems that research and things are coming along.
yes, it's
So,
ironically a very exciting time to have vets. There is a lot going on. There's upcoming clinical trials in the works, and I think there's more support than the community has ever had. And it's just a very exciting time. It just feels like, we're in a I describe it as a snowball. A few years ago there was not this much available when I was diagnosed. And then,
right.
I got involved with that collaborative and I got in and it just everything has just snowballed into a really wonderful situation where we have clinical trials now on the horizon. It's just very
Yes.
exciting.
Well, and that is why we are here to spread more awareness and drive more research for the VEDS movement and this VEDS Action Month. So, if someone's tuning in and they're like, I want to learn more about this, I want to help spread awareness, I want to get involved. What are all the different ways that you can get involved with this movement for the month of October?
Oh, sure. There are a lot of ways to get involved. So if you have VEDS, I really encourage you to share your story on social media. Find us on social media. It's at VEDS Movement, VEDS Movement. We're on Facebook and Twitter, and we're sharing ways for you to get involved throughout the month. You can share your story. You can thank this week we're really celebrating both the birthday of the VEDS movement and also doctors who have been really like angels for us and people who've supported us. So you can, find all those ways. We also have a VEDS Kids Book project happening right now that just opened for submissions. We are creating a kids book for kids with VEDS written by kids with VEDS. So if you have a kid with VEDS or you are under 18 or under and you have VEDS yourself, feel free to create a submission. You can find that information on our website as well. And we're going to put a book together for little kids with VEDS about, what VEDS is like or what other kids would want them to know about having VEDS. And we're hoping that really provides a connection point for little kids as they learn that they have this condition. There are a ton of ways to get involved, and I really can't list them all. But you can go to thevedsmovement.org, and then I think it's events and VEDS Action Month. And there you can find like a whole list of ways to get involved. I think there's also a banner image like right on the front page that you can click on.
I love that. And what is the website again?
Thevedsmovement.org. So that's VEDS movement.org.
Love it. And they do have a lot of stuff up. That's where I saw the birthday bash this morning on Facebook. So get on over there and like their Facebook page and follow along for the party and the driving awareness. So, Katie, I wanted to thank you so much for being here this morning with us. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience before we go?
I do want to say, I think I did mention, if you have VEDS, you can do all of these things. But even if you don't have VEDS, feel free to raise awareness with us. There are a lot of like digital swag options that you can use to help share like facts about VEDS on social media.
Yeah.
Um, we appreciate raising awareness for this condition, whether you have it or are directly affected by it or not. So I encourage everybody to get involved. If you're a medical professional, you can get involved. There's a CME course that you can take. It's only an hour and a half long and gives you like 1.1.5 CME credits. And that's also available on the Action Month page. But really, we really appreciate the awareness and just the opportunity to get the word out about VEDS. And if you don't have VEDS, please join us. It's a wonderful time for our community, and we really appreciate all the support.
Yes, and I can't reiterate what she said enough because, especially when we talk about rare diseases, you need to remember a lot of our bigger players out there that have, people that have tons more of the condition. It is that awareness is being spread. And so, a lot of times when you have more of these rare conditions, people aren't hearing about it. They don't know about it. So then they don't share about it. So, I encourage all the time to, if you don't know what the condition is about, you want to learn more, jump on and get involved because every organization needs your support. Mhm.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Tammy, for having us on and doing this series on VEDS.
Yes, you are very, very welcome. And with that, again, happy October, everybody. Thank you, Katie, for getting up bright and early and being here with us this morning. And stay tuned to the On Air Advocate for the whole month of October because we will be continuing our VEDS Action Month series. So thank you guys so much. Happy Friday, everybody.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.